You know, as a product reviewer, there's nothing more I enjoy than being wrong. I know, it sounds crazy, but let me explain. Because if I'm wrong, that means there's something better out there. And of course, at the end of the day, it's really all just opinions. But in one of my recent videos talking about the best gaming headset for Battlefield, I said was the SteelSeries Arctis Nova 7 Gen 2s, which yes, it's still an absolutely amazing headset for Battlefield and many other games. But I think I found something better, and that's the Razer Kraken V4 Pro. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this headset, as I did a standalone video on it, so make sure to go check that out if you want the real nitty gritty details, deep dive into it. I'm going to briefly go over that stuff, but talk about the core on how I was wrong is what I really want to focus on here. But number one of the best things about this headset is the build quality. You're seeing the forks right there and the arms, they're actually metal. I mean, this thing is solid. I don't get worried about it one bit. It is incredibly premium. Now, as far as the comfort, as you see the ear pads here, they are pleather inside and out, which plays into the sound. But yes, for long gaming sessions, they are going to get a little bit spicy, but they help out with the sound isolation and the sound, which we're going to talk about later on. And as far as features and functions, this is one of those gaming headsets that we can sit here for an hour just talking about them. It's packing so much, but briefly, again, looking over them, you have your microphone mute button, and it's nice because it's actually just a tactile press. It's not one of those springy ones, so you never know what position it's actually in. You have your volume wheel over here, nice tactile steps in it. Down here is your power button, USB-C charging. You have that microphone that is retractable, and you do have that LED on the front there, which we're going to do that microphone test as well so you can hear that. On the flip side, you have this customizable button, which can toggle mic monitoring, or you can customize it to cycle EQs. And down here, most importantly, as you all can see, is your haptics, because this headset does have the haptics, and you have RGB if you're into that.
All right, now I briefly want to show you Synapse. And I know you all have seen this inside and out, but it's really important with this headset here. And by the way, when you're showing you the software, you're going to be hearing the microphone recorded through Synapse with no audio tweaking. But right here, as you see, you got the little station, your dock, if we say your DAC, where you can adjust everything I'm going to show you in Synapse. You can actually adjust it right on your desk. As far as that mic monitoring and that button toggle I showed you there, again, you can switch your EQ or toggle to mic monitoring. I leave mine on the mic monitoring toggle because I do leave my EQ set to flat. Again, you can set this to games and what, but anyways, I keep my EQ to flat. That is because I run Dolby Atmos on mine, and just so you can see it, so you know what I talk about whenever we talk about sound next. Dolby Atmos, I'm pretty much increased right above a 6 dB at 125, peak down a little bit, and my highs do come up a little bit above right there. That's just the sound I like, and again, you got some bass in this headset. Volume leveler also has to be off. Again, I just wanted to show you that so you know what I'm explaining when we talk about sound next. So again, EQ set to flat, Dolby Atmos running what I just showed you. And again, you can toggle that. I don't use THX either. Coming over here to enhancements. This is another thing that's going to play into the sound that we're about to talk about. Sound normalization. With the auto enhancements, you have to activate that, put that there, and I leave mine at 45. Play with this as you like. I love this here because it just brings out that detail and a little bit more of those highs. It's just my personal preference. As far as mic, you're listening to a microphone on 50 and the EQ set to broadcast. So your three options are mic boost, which probably just got louder, conference, which brought out the highs, and then broadcast, which is what we have right here. So there's no default. I forget what it comes out of the box. That's what I keep mine at because my P's and T's are higher. You also got mic enhancements over here, which I don't use any of these, but you can if you want. By the way, as far as my room, a lot of you know I'm moving, so my room is empty, so there might be some reverberation coming off the walls here. Mic monitoring, it's a pretty good, nice monitoring, mic monitoring as well, which that button that I showed you in the beginning, it's on or off, not able to adjust the level right there. I say 5 is where you start hearing yourself. 6 is where it's probably the comfortable zone. Anything higher than that starts sounding walkie-talkie. Anyways, this is going to be the biggest thing about this headset, as you all know, is the haptics. You got your haptics intensity, which you can adjust right here, which you can adjust this on the headset, as I showed previously. But the biggest thing is going to be this when you launch the Chroma app, which just has to be active to do what I'm going to be talking about here, which is going to be the main thing. You have audio to haptics, which you can adjust right down here, custom dynamic. And let me just be straight with you. I'm not a fan of audio to haptics. I mean, it's fun occasionally, but it's not something I can use steady because it is, it'll be just vibrating and going crazy on your head, like with footsteps and everything. A grenade will just again, it'll make your head go crazy, you know? So Sensa HD haptics are what we're really going to be focused on here when we go into sound. Battlefield and all that stuff. With the new update they did, Sensa HD haptics, the haptics definitely are kind of a little more priority to certain sounds. You know what I mean? So we'll talk more about that in sound. Of course, that's going to be the biggest thing. You can adjust this also on the station that I showed you previously right here, and you can adjust the intensity on the headset. Now you also have lighting as far as the RGB on the ear cups, as I showed you there, quick settings or chroma if you want, power, and then a THX demo.
So again, I really just wanted to scratch the surface of the features and functions on this headset as far as customizing and stuff, because it plays a big role into the headset. And one other thing I do want to mention, or two other things I want to mention, which I'm not sure I did, talking about this headset having Bluetooth, you can run it simultaneous. You can go 2.4, just Bluetooth, or simultaneous just by switching on the button back there. But the other thing I want to mention is the battery life. They say up to 50 hours with haptic and lighting off running 2.4. You got 45 hours with haptic and lighting off running simultaneous and Bluetooth. And then you got up to 13 hours with haptics and lighting on with 2.4. So it can be kind of confusing. Like they're leaving a couple options out there, as you can hear, which is kind of like the option that I use. I use simultaneous. So I got Bluetooth 2.4, I leave the RGB off, and there's a reason for that. And then again, I'm usually running haptics on, usually medium. Every now and then if I want to get spicy, I'll crank them up to high. We'll talk about that in a second, why I actually do that. But anyways, with my setting, they're not really mentioning it, but I will tell you, I'm usually right in the middle of that 45 and 13. I would say I'm pretty much around 20 to 30, depending how often I'm actually using the haptics or utilizing the Bluetooth with my audio there. So again, the battery life is truly gonna depend on how you are actually using the headset. Now, I really want to focus on the sound of this headset, as that is the shining point here. Well, it's kind of the sound and the features and functions, because the haptics play a big role in that, right? But at the core, this headset is using the 40mm Razer Triforce drivers with a frequency range of 20 to 28,000. So you're going to pick two things apart there right out of the gate. 20 to 28. So your highs, you're going to get those highs right there. It's not going to be this soft, flat, muddy type of sound. Even though the 40mm drivers are known for having a little bit more bass than the 50mm Triforce drivers, as you've seen in the Black Sharks and stuff. I said that before, but really not too bad right here. Again, I am running Dolby Atmos, as I showed you before, with that EQ, so that is definitely helping out some. But again, you're not getting that soft, muddy sound, which you experience a lot of times with the Razer 40mm drivers. So really nice to get that here. But of course, the biggest thing is going to be the haptics, right? Gaming with the haptics. And a lot of you would think is just like myself, right? Because when I first reviewed this headset, I was playing Silent Hill, which you got multiple profiles for the Sensa HD haptics. The biggest thing I want to focus, guys, it's Sensa HD haptics, right? We're not focusing on audio to haptics here. It is crazy and, in my opinion, unbearable. Some people may like that extreme, but me, I like it managed. And that's what you get with Sensa HD haptics. So I was playing Silent Hill and it was super fun. I absolutely loved it. It was immersive. It pulled me into the environment. It freaked me out in some situations. And that's kind of where I thought this headset would stay. Like, okay, this is meant for story games, right? It's fun. It's immersive. It's going to pull you in a little bit. No way in my wildest dreams would I ever thought I'd use it for an FPS game. Well, Razer updated Sensa HD haptics, worked with EA, and now they have a profile in there for Sensa HD haptics to work on Battlefield 6, which is my primary game right now. Like, I barely even play in the new Call of Duty. Like, Battlefield 6 is the way to go. And if you play that game, or if you played any Battlefield before, you know, you got tanks, you got grenades, you got launchers, you got helicopters, you got jets, you got bombs dropping, you got everything, you got buildings falling down on you. Know, there's a lot going on. So you might be thinking like, yo, haptics, yo, this is gonna be absolutely unbearable and just not fun. Like, I'm not gonna be able to hear anything else because this thing's just gonna be constantly vibrating on my head. At least that was my thought. And again, I was wrong, because the audio to haptics on this is so fun. You hop in a tank with the haptics running, and this is where I kind of bump it up to medium, right? And when this tank starts going, you hear the engine and the treads going, it starts like vibrating a little bit right there. But you can still hear people walking along your tank or another vehicle riding along, you know what I mean? It's so cool. Or the gun firing, right? You would think priority would be hearing like the tank running or something, but it's not, because again, it's just working how you would expect it to work. But your sound with the Triforce drivers, that extra boost of treble in there, you're still getting those good sounds. Even when you're out of the vehicle and you're just out there battling like a grenade, like it comes in, you hear ding, 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 And then when it blows and the building comes down or something, oh my gosh, you feel like you're sitting in that building. This is something like the best way for me to explain this is like how I stated about Odyssey headphones or headsets before. This is back in the Penrose days when people are like, dude, you're just crazy, whatever. You know what I mean? Now look at the Odyssey Maxwell's, right? It's the headset of the town. It's kind of the same situation that I'm getting with these that I did with the Penrose back in the days. And that's how I can put it. It's something you have to experience, something you have to try. If you don't believe me, I mean, these are on sale right now for Black Friday. I believe you can get them around maybe $300 or something like that. But if you're in a bigger city and you got a Razer store, swing in there. They usually got these on display. Pop them on and try them out. Again, make sure Sense HD haptics is active, not audio to haptics. Because again, the experience on this is beyond immersive. But they implemented it into Battlefield so darn good where it's not intrusive. It doesn't make you lose sight of anything else going on. It just adds that bit of immersion and pulls you into the battlefield. Kind of what I said about the SteelSeries one, where it had that bass. That's what I loved about it. If I wanted that bass, I got it. Well, here with the Razers, I get I don't want to say bass, right? It's kind of tough saying bass because the haptics is not just bass. They actually have haptic devices in there like you have on your controller. And that's kind of how the headset reacts. It's like the controller. You get those certain instances of haptics, right, in those certain situations. It's not just constantly vibrating. And the other thing that really kind of surprised me is I said, okay, well, let me try it in Borderlands 4 as well. Since they came out with the Sense HD haptics profile in Borderlands, I said, yo, this game's too crazy for haptics. It's not going to work right along with Battlefield, right? There's just so much going on. Well, again, I was wrong because the Sense HD profile works in Borderlands. Again, the shotguns and the grenades and all this other stuff. But if you're in a big battle, you got enemies all around you and stuff, you know, you're not getting this crazy vibration on your head. The companies that work, the developers, they actually work on these haptic profiles just like they do with controllers when they're vibrating in games, you know what I mean? And it plays so good. It really shocked me going to Borderlands testing it right there, but definitely with Battlefield, like it just blew me away. I'm like, this, like proving me wrong made me excited, right? Because I thought this would be absolute trash with haptics in it in an FPS game, especially like Battlefield with so much going on. But oh my gosh, did it work? Was it fun? Was it immersive? It makes the game feel remastered even though it just came out. So you know what I mean? But again, a whole different experience. Don't think like me where you think it's going to be just too much, it's going to be excessive. This is fun. This is really fun. Like, I want Sense HD haptics in my keyboard and my mouse now. So if you stuck through this video and listened to everything I said and my reaction and how I talk about it, y'all know, again, I don't script my videos. Never have since day one, still don't to this day. I just use products and nerd out about them. And if something really excites me, I want to really share that with you guys. And a lot of products excite me, right? Like they really do. But when something's fun like this to a game that I really enjoy, it just makes me giddy. And that's why I had to share with you guys again. Not so much that I was wrong, which I was, but again, proving me wrong where I thought this would be no-go in an FPS game, especially like Battlefield, was super cool. And again, if you went and picked up the Nova 7 Gen 2s, again, this is still an absolutely phenomenal headset. It's cheaper than this. Number one, it's $200, you know what I mean? So yeah, you're talking about $100 cheaper. Still an absolutely amazing headset. And yes, it is more comfortable than a Razer one. Like, I'll say that straight up. But again, the fun immersion and different experience that you get gaming with this is something that you really got to try. It's really fun. And right now on Black Friday, again, being able to catch these on sale, I totally recommend you give them a shot. Heck, if you don't like them, just send them back, right? But I think it's something you got to try.